Thank you. For what purpose is the gentleman from Pennsylvania? Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, last week's New York Times Magazine featured an interview with Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Some of her comments were absolutely astonishing, coming from a sitting Supreme Court justice. But the most disturbing comment came in reference to abortion. In reference to Roe v. Wade, the infamous Supreme Court case, she said this, quote, "Frankly, I had thought that at the time Roe was decided, there was concern about population growth, and particularly growth in populations that we don't want to have too many of," end quote. I cannot imagine any acceptable context in which a serious person could refer to populations that we don't want too many of. This eugenic way of thinking debases the value of all human life. All people are created equal and deserve the most fundamental right to life, no matter what race, religion, or socioeconomic background. I am shocked that a member of the Supreme Court believes that a compelling reason for the legality of abortion is because our society wants to reduce the growth of specific populations. Justice Ginsburg's comments are an assault and insult to the values of the American people. I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. What purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina rise?
Unanimous consent to address the House in 1 minute.
Gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker,
for 2 minutes.
Thank you for yielding. The bill before us today will open up the funding spigot for abortions in the District of Columbia. The Dornan Amendment has for years helped to reduce abortions in D.C. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about abortion reduction. And the one thing that everyone seems to agree on is that public funding for abortion increases the number of lives lost to abortion. Even the Guttmacher Institute has found that significantly more women choose abortion when the government subsidizes it. Unfortunately, the bill before us today will only serve to increase abortion. And the District of Columbia has a sordid history with abortion funding. In 1994, when the funding ban was lifted, D.C. took $1 million away from the Medical Charities Fund, which was created to help aid patients, to instead pay for abortions. And the district had to request additional funds to make up for the funds used on abortion. Then, when the funding ban was reinstated, the city disregarded the law and continued to fund abortion for 2 additional years. The bill will again open the door for D.C. to abuse taxpayer dollars to expand abortion, and it completely disregards the views of the majority of Americans who do not support public funding for abortion. The bill thrust upon hardworking taxpayers the values of the Washington elite. Nearly 180 members of this House, both Republicans and Democrats, made a simple and reasonable request: maintain the existing pro-life policies and appropriations bills, and if you don't, allow us the opportunity to vote up or down. Yesterday, the Rules Committee unilaterally acted to deny members, and consequently the constituents they represent, the opportunity to even vote on whether this bill should be used to expand public funding for abortion. Such actions are an offense to the democratic process, to the American taxpayers, and to the sanctity of human life. I urge my colleagues to oppose the bill and yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman
recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, President Obama's appointment to head the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel is truly from the far left radical fringe. Don Johnson, a former attorney for one of the radical abortion groups, is a step back for a president who has claimed he would like to find common ground on the abortion issue. Ms. Johnson's own quotes speak for her radical views. She has equated pregnancy to slavery when she said that laws restricting a woman's abortion choice, quote, are disturbingly suggestive of involuntary servitude, end quote. She has likened pregnant mothers to, quote, no more than fetal containers, end quote. She has likened pro-life advocates to, quote, terrorists, end quote, calling them, quote, remarkably similar to the Ku Klux Klan, end quote. Her appointment is a slap in the face to all fair-minded, not just pro-life Americans. The President should withdraw her nomination, or else the Senate should reject it. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey rise?
now I'm a Christian. I praise Jesus every Sunday. But there are a lot of Muslims who are decent, good, kind people. I don't think they are any less children of God. Now, I'm a Christian. I praise Jesus every Sunday. But There will always be people, many of goodwill, who do not share my view on the issue of choice. On this fundamental issue, I will not yield, and Planned Parenthood will not yield.
I ask members to read this book, Unplanned, and realize the scandal of the killing of these unborn children and calling it choice. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing whatsoever benign or caring or generous or just or compassionate or nurturing about abortion. Earlier, one of our colleagues called abortion healthy for the child. Abortion dismembers children, piece to piece. Planned Parenthood's own fact sheet talks about D&E abortions done in second trimester, during the second trimester period. Have you ever seen what a D&E is? The doctor goes in with forceps and this device and literally hacks that baby to death. Planned Parenthood itself says it takes 10 to 20 minutes to literally dismember that child. Then there's the shots in the heart. There's a group called late-term abortion and a doctor right here in this area that on perfectly healthy babies gives them cardiac sticks with either feticide poison or a burst of air which kills the unborn child. So it is not healthy for children, and we know for a fact it is not healthy for women either.
You know, I had really planned to speak about something else, but the gentleman from New Jersey has just put my stomach in knots. Because I'm one of those women he spoke about just now. I had a procedure at 17 weeks, pregnant with a child that had moved from the vagina into the cervix. And that procedure that you just talk about was a procedure that I endured. I lost a baby. But for you to stand on this floor and to suggest, as you have, that somehow this is a procedure that is either welcomed or done cavalierly or done without any thought is preposterous. To think that we are here tonight debating this issue when the American people, if they are listening, are scratching their heads and wondering, what does this have to do with me getting a job? What does this have to do with reducing the deficit? And the answer is nothing at all.
Isn't everything we do, all of our actions, really driven by data about experiences we've had, what we've liked, what we've not liked, you know? All this goes into making decisions about our lives. And so it is, in some sense, the whole world is analytics, isn't it?
The whole idea is being able to get that data from all of those usage points, analyze it, and make a real-time decision.
In Toronto, we have a setup with the neonatal care unit at the hospital. And what we're able to do is actually the monitors on the baby, taking the data streams that are coming off of the monitors and then analyzing that data in real time as it's coming off the baby. We're able to predict the onset of things like sepsis for the baby 18 to 24 hours before an experienced nurse would have been able to do the same thing.
I'm working on a project now in my home site in Burlington, Vermont. Just by doing analytic data on power usage, we've been able to save about 40% of our power, and it's not from changing the light bulbs or anything like that. It's just from analyzing the data and making better decisions about how we run the equipment. We had the Iron Age and the Atomic Age and the Computer Age, but I think where we are right now is we're entering the true, analytics age. Maybe that's what we would call it.